The Midday Report with Jim Boyd and Susan Burke, weekdays at noon.
Hi, I'm Lily Tomlin, and I am happily the recipient of the Helen Caldecott Award this year, along with Sally Field. And stay tuned because I'm going to tell you about it today on Good Day.
It's Good Day with Eileen Prose, Janet Langhart, and Tom Cottle. Today, funny woman Lily Tomlin. She'll share a side of her we rarely see. And today's grandmothers, how has their advice and attitudes changed with the times? Plus, meet 3 stars from your favorite nighttime cliffhangers.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Janet Langhart. Did you get a chance to see the Donahue show this morning? It just went off the air. What do you think about that? Are men unnecessary? Would they ever be unnecessary? No comment. No comment. I mean, you know, who would have been around when Mom said no to say yes if he didn't have a man, right? Aunt Lucy? I mean, and who would give me my daily hugs? Back. No, and what reason would you have to watch Falcon Crest if there were no David Selby?
Oh, Jan, you're giving
I'm
it
in
away.
love. Eileen, I think you're going to be speaking to him this morning.
I am going to be doing that indeed, and good morning to you, Jan. I'll tell you, you do pose some difficult questions. Yes, Janet is in love with this one of our next guests. In fact, if you're a fan of Dallas, Knots Landing, and Falcon Crest, then you will enjoy this because we have 3 people sitting by in Los Angeles ready to talk to us. Every week, week to week, there is a continuation of the story, and as you know, at the end of the season, there's always a cliffhanger on the nighttime soaps. Well, Susan Howard, I'm sure you know her. She plays Donna Krebs, the independent, self-sufficient woman who definitely has a mind of her own on Dallas. And Ted Shackelford, he is Knots Landing's handsome Gary Ewing, and he has his hands very full being married to none other than Abby. And David Selby, who plays the cunning, not necessarily to be trusted, but very handsome Richard Channing on Falcon Crest. And they're all, as I said, in Los Angeles standing by. I hope we're sitting by. Are the 3 of you there?
Yes.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, Eileen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Susan, let's begin with you, can we?
Yes.
All right, you have had your hands full, haven't you? Separated.
I have, indeed.
And she's now pregnant. When is Ray going to find out about this baby?
Ray finds out, gosh, that's a good question.
Too good, huh?
Is there a good answer?
You know, Friday nights are cliffhanger.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, that's our 90-minute one, and there's going to be all sorts of things revealed or unrevealed on Friday night. So I just got this contract that said, be careful what you discuss.
It says that in the contract, huh?
It says that, right.
So are you keeping the baby? Can we ask that?
Absolutely.
All right, well, that's good. Now, Ted, let's talk to you about your marriage, because on the show, you have your hands full with Abby, do you not?
Oh, yeah. Except, you know, I mean, Gary doesn't know he's got his hands full. His fingers get caught in his dimples a lot. Not real aware of what's going on behind his back a lot.
Are there still feelings for Val?
Do what?
Do you still have feelings for, was it Val,
Sure.
your first wife?
Yeah, I think so. I think he does. I think, you know, you never stop loving somebody you once loved. I mean, I really believe that in some way or another. And gee, that was really his first love. I mean, they were in their teens when they got married. Yeah, I think he's still got feelings for her. I don't know if they'll ever go back together again or not.
But isn't that a part of the mystique? We'll never know, will we?
Well, that is. I mean, it seems to me if they ever do go back together again, I got to look for work.
Why?
Well, there'll be nothing to play.
Oh,
you know,
is that
I mean,
it?
it's the tension that you see between the two of them that makes it work, that relationship or non-relationship.
Yeah.
And the triangle between Gary and Abby and Valene, which you will see on our May 23rd cliffhanger.
Oh, you have a May 23rd cliffhanger. All right, David, are you there?
I'm here. I'm over on the end.
You're on the end
right
here. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
You know, you have this image of the guy that we hate to love or love to hate or something. Good guy, bad guy. Is that fun to play?
Oh, yeah. But I think he's, you know, I think there must be somebody out there that likes him.
Well, let me tell you that Janet and I worked together. Janet opened the show this morning. I know you can't see us, but Janet said to me, Eileen, you know, this is the sexiest man on the show, and who are they saving him for? And Janet would like to audition for the role of...
Well, maybe we could arrange a visit or something.
Yeah, no, she actually said she wouldn't care if it was a cattle call, but who are the writers saving you for?
Who are they saying? I hope they're saving me for, let's see, who could I...
Deborah Shelton wouldn't be too bad.
Well, I don't know.
Let me ask it another way. What kind of mail do you get?
What kind of mail do I get?
Yes.
Well, you know, I get the general... I don't know. They don't send me a lot of it.
They don't?
No, I don't get any proposals or anything
Maybe they keep your humility that way. I don't know. Susan, let's go back to Dallas for a moment. What's the feeling about Bobby being killed?
Gosh, obviously, you know, that was Patrick's choice to leave. I said this before, it was a real hard show for us to shoot. You work with somebody for a long, long time like that, and you come to a scene which is so fraught with emotion that I think a bit of just you personally comes into it as hard as you would to just try and be the actor.
Yeah.
It's as difficult, obviously, you know, we're losing 2 people this year. And I think both of them will be sadly missed by all of us. But as we know, Miss Barbara Bel Geddes is coming back to play Miss Ellie.
Donna Reed is the other one. She will be leaving, is that true?
Yes, yes. She's a lovely lady.
Yeah, how do you feel about that? Is that her choice, or is that part of the writer's business?
I think it was a writer's decision and all, and as we all know, Barbara, you know, had not been well for a period of time, and to my understanding, what they had explained was that Donna had some idea about that. I know Barbara's really excited about coming back.
Well, that's good for Barbara then.
Yeah,
it
is.
That's good. Well, let me ask Ted, because of the whole business of crossing over, and as a Ewing, will you be going to Bobby's funeral?
Don't say a word.
Is this a part of the cliffhanger, too?
Don't say a word.
All right.
I'm not saying a word.
Okay.
Are you crazy?
Actually, Richard Channing will be going.
Richard Channing will be going, huh?
Richard Channing will be going, but you won't see it until May 24th, when our cliffhanger will air.
Let me ask the 3 of you a question, because you're from Texas, Oklahoma City, and Virginia, and kind of
Tulsa,
small.
actually.
Tulsa, right? But you were born in Oklahoma City, right?
Yes, I was. Yeah.
But small towns, kind of, and then all of a sudden now you are in Hollywood. And I wonder if you can answer this whole business of the plastic, glittery image that seems to be a part of the Hollywood image. How does that affect someone who grows up in a small town and now finds themselves living there?
Well, you know, the glittery image, you have a choice. You can either become a part of it or not become a part of it.
That's true.
And we've all become a part.
Yes, and if you choose to become a part of it, it's only, from what I can see, business purposes only. The minute you start believing it,
yeah,
you're in a lot of trouble, because this is Lotus Land out here.
Well, yes, I have heard that. Susan, let me ask you, because you went to college in Austin, and the whole Texas background for you is so important, and now your daughter's at Baylor studying acting. How do you feel about her being there? Have we lost them? We've lost the satellite? Oh, we'll never know the answer to that. Didn't even get to say goodbye. Is that it? No, we don't get them back. Well, we want to definitely thank those 3 lovely people very much for being with us, and that's the live television. That's what happens. Back to you, Jan.
That's the way the soaps do it. You know, they leave you hanging. Here we are, primetime soap in the morning. Coming up on Good Day, we talked earlier about how special were men in our lives. Well, there's some very special people who are grandmothers, and we'll be talking to 3 of them, and you'll find out some of the misconceptions about it right after this.
No one knows more about authentic old neighborhood kielbasa than someone from the old neighborhood.
Wszyscy lubią tą Old Neighborhood polską kielbasę, bo ona jest taka yummy. Old Neighborhood jest zrobiona ze świeżej wieprzowiny, wołowiny i spices. I można ją jeść o każdej porze dnia. I ona jest... smakuje oboje. Jak w Polsce.
Old neighborhood kielbasa, the taste speaks for itself.
Old Neighborhood jest doprawdy pyszna.
Magic is fun, but it takes more than magic to get a good job. It takes the skills you learn here at American Business Institute. Learn word processing on the latest equipment. Take our computerized bookkeeping course. Or become an executive secretary plus. It's easy as ABI.
Get the skills you need. Call American Business Institute at 338-1033.
The first day of school. It's so hard to be brave when everything is so new, so different, and so lonely.
Sing along some love of your own. Hostess is a hug from home.
His favorites are Hostess Twinkies cakes. He loves the golden sponge cake and creamy middle.
Want one?
Always fresh, always delicious. Hostess Twinkies cakes, cupcakes, and fruit pies.
Hostess is a hug from home.
Hey, what's this?
Mom, can I have a drink?
It's a new cooler.
Suntan lotion, anyone?
A new cooler with pockets.
Dad, I'm putting my shots in the cooleroo.
A new cooler with pockets and a funny name.
Introducing Cooleroo from Thermos. It's the only cooler with pockets.
Pockets, huh? I wonder where they got that idea.
Cooleroo at participating stores.
Words like sweet, kind, and gentle come to mind when we think of those very special women who were near and dear to all of us, our grandmothers. Well, we took some time to ask our viewers how they describe their grandmothers, and this is how they describe their grandmothers. This is pretty much what they said.
My grandmother's about 5'2". She has gray hair. She looks like a jelly roll, and she's very naive. She's very sweet.
She's old. False teeth. Nice lady, though.
She was pretty special to me. She's only about 5 feet, and she was kind of plump, but she was so happy.
My grandmother is a stubborn, strict Catholic.
So she's rather thin, wears glasses, has a cheery complexion, rosy red cheeks, and that's about it.
She's old, she's sweet. She's always there when I need someone.
She's short and cute and smiley, gray hair, and always loves to fill you up with food.
Oh, sounds like my grandmother. With us are three women who may or may not fill those descriptions. They are grandmothers, and here to tell us how they feel about being grandmothers and what it was like when they first found out they were going to be. I'd like you to meet author, grandmother, Evelyn Abrams. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fine.
And she's written the book, Mom's the Word. We'll talk about that in a moment. Ruth Tinsley. Good morning. How are you, Mrs. Tinsley? And Lucille Schuck Longview. And you say you're growing into your name.
A new name.
New name. We'll have to find out about that. But welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining us. What was it like when you first discovered that you were going to be a grandmother? Can we begin with you, Mrs. Longview?
I don't even remember when I first knew it, because I must have known it before the baby was born, but I do remember the day of the birth, because I had guests. And I ran around to everybody saying, who wants to kiss Grandma? Who wants to kiss Grandma? I used Grandma dozens of times that day.
How old were you when you were a grandmother?
Oh, my, I must have been 30, 40, 65 maybe.
Were you? How many grandchildren?
62.
62. How many grandchildren do you have?
2.
And how about you, Mrs. Tinsley? How many do you have?
I have 8. 8 grandchildren and 8 great-grandchildren.
Now, are you the only one here who has the distinction of being a great-grandmother?
I think so.
Was it any different for you discovering you were going to be a great-grandmother than a grandmother?
Well, I was very happy when I became a grandmother at 36, but a great-grandchild, something precious.
Really?
And I was just tickled to death. And I still am.
Well, you know, Evelyn Abrams, as we mentioned, has written a book. You did a story, I guess, talking to several women who have become grandmothers, and they all had different things to say about some of the myths attached to being a grandmother in our society.
Well, there's no question about the fact that grandmothers aren't what they used to be, but I'm very happy to also say that there seems to have been an indelible imprint made upon us from our stereotypic grandmothers, the kind that we just saw described on the film, so that we all carry some traditionalism and some really good moral and spiritual values, no matter how modern we may be.
Now, how many grandchildren do you have?
I have 5 grandchildren and 4 children.
How old were you when you discovered you're going to be?
Well, I was in my 40s. We're never exact about age, as I describe in this book. We get to be at the age where we are approaching a decade, you know, approaching 40, approaching 50, but we never say from which direction.
How did you feel, though? I mean, 40 to me is very young.
Yes.
How did you feel when your daughter or your son said, you're going to be a grandmother?
Well, I was very happy, but I don't remember the same excitement that I did when I knew I was going to be a mother. When my daughter had our first grandchild, I was very happy for her as a parent. My own reaction was a little bit slower. I suddenly realized almost a day after, I am a grandmother, and I love the feeling because I loved being a mother, and I think it's a great experience.
Well, you know, I talked about the myth conceptions. I think I just coined a word there. We have stereotypes of what grandmothers are, what they look like, how they should behave. Can we begin with you, Mrs. Longview? What are some of the things you hate about those misconceptions?
Well, the media's projection of us as being in our rocking chair or not being involved in the culture. The whole image of somehow you're old enough now to be on the siding. And I mind that because I think very much we're at an age where we need to move into the culture and say, look, we have energy yet to put in changing things.
Well, Mrs. Longview, you certainly have done that. As a matter of fact, I think one of your grandchildren wrote a book about you. Was it your
Well, it was 2 of them. They were 7 and 2 at the time, so this is 5, 6 years ago.
We'd like to share that book because it says, our grandma is, and as you open it up, it says, a gray panther. Now, I think most people know what a gray panther is, but for the benefit of those who don't, what is a gray panther?
Well, Gray Panther is the name that is given to the activists in the culture who are really trying to change the image of old people. That was made when I was a Panther, and I still am, but my central activity was panthering.
Oh, they're
now
quite
my main
proud of
activity
that.
is being an older woman, a member of the Older Women's League.
Now, you and Mrs. Tinsley are on the Council of Elders here in our area.
Well, Mrs. Tinsley is. I'm not.
I thought you were too as well.
No.
What do you do in the Council of Elders? Oversee the elders and make sure we all are sensitive to your
That's the board
needs?
member of the Council of Elders. But I'm also an associate commissioner on the Mayor's Advisory Commission. And that's having input into problems and benefits for elders. And I'm also a member of the Older Women's League, and that's, it really gets you out of the rocking chair.
Well, now, speaking of the rocking chair, do you have any things you dislike about the attitudes we have toward our grandmothers and our grandfathers? What their role should be?
Well, in a way, because there's some thought about a grandmother or grandfather should be home all the time. Some people think, and they made a movie about get out of the rocking chair. Now, with the rocking chair, I have one at home, and I use it quite frequently, but I'm out a lot also.
So you can do both?
Yes.
Now, what about the other grandmother? You know, we hear that the grandmother is somewhat permissive, more permissive than the parents actually are. Do you have any competitive feelings about the other grandmother or the other grandfather on the other side of the family?
Well, in my case, I'm quite at a distance from Oak Ridge, Tennessee to Boston from my grandchildren, and the other grandmother lives in New York. When the first time to babysit, when the family went away, my daughter called me and apologized for not asking me to be the person who came. They had chosen to ask the other grandmother. And at that time, I said, I hope you don't think I'm in competition for this opportunity, because I think I have other things to offer my grandchildren besides just being there on beck and call to sit with them.
How about for you, Evelyn? Do you have any problems with that?
Well, I don't have any problems with it, but the women to whom I spoke expressed different feelings about the other grandmother, whom I refer to as the OG. You know, there are some relatives we choose, but the other grandmother actually becomes a relative by marriage, and she may be somebody that we like very much, or somebody with whom we can even have a lifelong friendship, or somebody we don't like. No way. But no matter what, I would agree that when it comes to our mutual grandchildren, we are rarely competitive. We always have their mutual interests at heart.
Are you more permissive with your grandchildren than you were with your own children? I hear this all the time. My mother certainly is.
I think so.
Why is that phenomenon?
I don't know. You seem to cherish the grandchild. I mean, it's something fulfillment. Although you cherish your children, you love them too. But I find myself, I'm leaning toward the great-grandchildren also.
Ah, you're getting more and more permissive as time goes on, huh? Now, are either of you married?
I'm a widow.
You're widowed?
I'm a divorced.
How about you?
And I'm married. I live with my husband.
Well, we can't ask you this question then. But do either one of you date, Mrs. Longview, Mrs. Tinsley? Do you date?
Not really.
Not really. What's that mean? What's that mean?
Well, you know, once in a while, a gentleman will come along, you know, and ask you out to dinner. Not just one. You know, you'd have maybe 2 friends, you know, and you go out.
You go out? Anybody special you like, or do you dare say on the air would they both be watching this morning?
No, I was married twice. I'm not dating anybody.
How about you, Mrs. Longview?
Well, the Longview says something of that nature, that I'm really changing my identity, and when people see the name Longview, they often say, oh, I'm so glad for you, as though that puts me again among the real people if I'm in an allegiance with a male. It is not that.
I just wonder how the grandchildren feel about grandmother dating. How do...
Oh, they think it's fun. My daughter, she gets a kick out of it.
Your granddaughter does?
No, my daughter. I have 1 daughter and 2 sons, but they were at the house Mother's Day, and a gentleman came in, and right away she said to her brother, they were there at the same time, that's her boyfriend. And he's not, you know, he's just a friend.
Well, they like the idea anyway.
Yeah.
I wish we had more time to chat, because I'd like to know very quickly, what do your grandchildren call you?
Well, one calls me Grandma Lou. Her name is middle name is Lucille, as my first name is, and I call her Sarah Lou.
How about yours?
Mine call me Nana.
Yeah, and I'm just Grandma.
And one Nana T, the great-grand Nana T.
Oh, well, grandmothers are special. I was lucky to have 2 very special ladies to be my grandmother. Mum's the Word, which is a special book written about the wit and wisdom of grandmothers by Evelyn Abrahams. And I want to thank you all for joining us, but I'd like to conclude on something that was in your book, Evelyn. It says, for me, suddenly having a grandchild to love opened a wellspring that flowed inward, filling spaces I didn't know were there and waiting. So it's something for all of us to look forward to, being grandmothers.
That's right. Yes, it is.
Thank you for joining. I enjoyed this segment.
Thank you.
We'll have more coming up. I don't know about Lily Tomlin being a grandmother, but she certainly is an interested woman and a very funny lady. So let's take a look at her when we come back on Good Day.
When you suffer from poison ivy, insect bites, minor rashes, all you want is to stop the itch. That's why my whole family counts on Caladril, because along with calamine, there's Benadryl in here. So if you've got an itch, Caladril can help stop it as long as you can reach it. Honey!
Of all leading brands, only Caladril contains Benadryl, the most recommended topical antihistamine for itch. Caladril from Park Davis.
Nothing beats a Stouffer's pizza, luscious toppings on a French bread crust so crispy brown. All those great ingredients, it's so easy to pick up, but so hard to put down.
Help yourself, help yourself, help yourself to Stouffer's pizza.
Real cheese toppings, yes indeed. Just one hand is all you need.
Help yourself, help yourself, help yourself to Stouffer's pizza. Help yourself to Stouffer's pizza.
Like an iceberg breaking away from the pack, crashing into a chocolatey sea, reappearing as Polar Bar, a gigantic block of seal test ice cream surrounded by a coating made with real milk chocolate. Polar Bar ice cream squares, the treat of enormous proportions.
In my opinion, this is a great coffee. Bold, dark Nescafe Brava. But just because I like it doesn't make it right for you. And that's exactly why Nescafe created 4 custom blended coffees. For the first time, coffee made to taste your way. Bold, dark Brava, traditional classic, smooth refined Silca, or natural decaf. Each one custom blended, each one visibly different. I've got mine. Now you decide. Which one's made to taste your way? Nescafe.
You probably think you pay much more for the quality of Eagle Snacks. But you don't. Eagle Snacks, the expensive snack that isn't.
Well, no one can deny that this next lady is a very, very funny lady. Yesterday, we gave you Tom Cottle's interview with Sally Field, and right now he talks with comedian actress Lily Tomlin. She is called by many the funniest woman, funniest person in the movies.
She certainly is.
Guess what I'm going to do?
What?
I'm going to come back from the dead.
Oh. And, what makes you think you can do that?
Because I'm rich.
The professional side of Lily Tomlin is dedicated to developing some of our most memorable characters. The personal side, however, is one of commitment to political issues and worldwide concerns. On Sunday, Women's Action for Nuclear Disarmament honored Lily Tomlin and Sally Field as the recipients of the Helen Caldecott Leadership Awards. Afterward, Lily talked about her many concerns.
I hurt and feel badly when I see someone deprived of anything. And then when some people are deprived, I mean, outrageously and horribly and viciously and brutally, when I see people who are hungry, people who don't have, I see homeless people all the time in the streets. There's a lot of need in the world, period.
What does it do to you when you see that? I mean, we all say, oh, it bothers me. You see it on television, you see it in your life. What happens in your mind and heart?
You want to, you just want to make a difference, that's all. And if everybody did, it seems so simple to me sometimes when you know, I've heard different church organizations say, even in this country, if every church took in a homeless person, the problem would be virtually eliminated. I'm not saying that that may not be the most, the broadest, most expansive way to do it. We should just have a different kind of you know, parity in the world, rather than somehow hopefully there would be a healthier, more stable culture that would take care of its people, just take care of them, the ones that need to be cared for. People would be reared in the culture to take care of themselves and understand options and be educated to the possibilities in life and have esteem for themselves and not be brutalized and negated in such a way that there's many, many people in the world who think they're not worth much anyway.
You live in Hollywood among the rich, and people could say, but then you rush out and you do some work for charities or for some causes, then you rush back to Hollywood. Isn't there some kind of a conflict that you would feel, as well as the conflict of what Hollywood is doing with their Star Wars? They're celebrating a lot of war, loving it,
don't they?
and feel it's just terrific.
Astonishing.
Good guys always win, bad guys always
But see,
lose.
that you can't blame. You can't say blame here, blame there. It's all, we're just one big family, see? So we've got a few bad relatives.
You're getting out of this one great, Tomlin.
No, I'm not, really. I'm not going to get out of anything. You just can't get out of it, you know. So you look around and you try to create a better family. Sometimes I'm not so good, you know, then I'm going to need your support. I'm not going to get real homely about this, but it is homely, you know. Like, I have friends who help me when I'm not at my best.
Give me an example, Lily, of someone who has said something or done something in your life, and you've thought, I'm going to change because of that.
Sure, my own brother. I've watched my brother evolve over the years, and there might be a time when my brother and I would have difficulty communicating, and then suddenly my brother would do something, and maybe we'd fall into an old pattern of relating, or even though we're close and have always been fond of one another, we might go through periods where we become tense with one another, or angry, or feel slighted, and then suddenly, I remember one time my brother and I were having an argument about something, and my brother just absolutely moved off of it in such an expansive, loving way. It totally changed my point of view. I mean, he wasn't conflicting with me anymore. I'll tell you what I was thinking in relationship to today, and this being Mother's Day, and
And I love the slogan, you know, which is, it goes something like, the greatest gift we can give our children is a future, or the future. So as I was looking at that today, because I'm not a mother, I don't have any children of my own, but I do have a mother, you know. Whereas I do relate to this issue in terms of the children on this planet, and that being our real hope, I suddenly, because it was Mother's Day and I'm not with my mother today, and I thought I'd like to give my mother a future too.
Isn't that nice? Lily Tomlin, nice lady. Two nice women that received the Helen Caldecott Award for their work to promote peace in our world. And thank you, Tom Cottle, very much for two good interviews. In a moment, we'll be talking with Dr. Tim Johnson. Findings. New England Journal of Medicine has reported that 1 ounce of fish a day can reduce your risk of heart attack, cut it in half, and also a new drug for hay fever. We'll be right back.
Oh, I could use that one.
Could you?
Here, Bobby. Let me show you how to pitch. That's my orange. Relax. To throw a fastball, you put 2 fingers right on the sun kiss. But for a slider, you put your fingers across the sun kiss. Okay, now can I have my orange back? Yeah, after I show you the sweetest pitch of all.
A sun-kissed orange is always sweet and juicy. You have our word on it.
I knew when he took it, he'd eat my orange.
Lately, AT&T has been saying, the more you hear, the better they sound. Well, hear this. MCI can save you money over AT&T on long distance anytime, 24 hours a day. And MCI goes everywhere AT&T goes, to every phone in any other state. Now, I don't know about you, but I haven't heard anything from AT&T that sounds better than MCI.
Call MCI, because MCI saves you over AT&T anytime on all your out-of-state calls.
Tired of weight loss programs that promise you speedy starts but leave you frustrated and still overweight? Here's a program that works. Weight Loss Clinic's Fast Finish. Clients lose 3 to 4 pounds each and every week without drugs or gimmicks. Fast Finish, the fastest way to lose weight from start to finish. Now discover the Fast Finish program for only $59. Call for a free visit. The faster you start, the faster you'll finish.
At most Purity and Heartlands, now there's My Fresh Bakery.
My Fresh Bakery.
In her Fresh Bakery,
My Fresh Bakery.
everything is fresh from the oven, baked from scratch, just like homemade.
Like bread and pies and donuts and cookies and the world's biggest, most delicious blueberry muffins. They're just 6 for $1.59.
My Fresh Bakery.
And you'll only find it at Heartland and Purity Supreme, where basic values are better values.
Well, two big medical stories in the news, and Dr. Tim Johnson joins us to sort them out for us. One, a new drug for hay fever, and the other that fish, in fact, reduces or cuts the risk of heart attack in half. Interesting. Good morning to you, Tim.
Good morning. Good morning.
Well, you are one busy man, I'll tell you.
Reasonably so.
You're everywhere.
Yes. No, just looks that way.
You are. The two new drugs now for hay fever. Can you explain?
Well, first of all, we should remind people that hay fever has nothing to do with either hay or fever. It has to do with pollen from grasses and trees and weeds, and we're right in the middle of the spring hay fever season for many people. Just a few days ago, the federal government announced a new antihistamine that is going to be available only by prescription. It has supposedly the great advantage over all other antihistamines of not causing sedation. Antihistamines combat the symptoms of hay fever, and for some people, if they take an antihistamine sort of around the clock during the hay fever season, they can greatly control the disease. But all of the antihistamines we have had available to date have produced sedation to some degree.
And you just get sleepy, you can't drive with them.
Drowsy. This one is supposedly the first of a new batch of antihistamines that will be as effective as the old ones, but not produce sedation. The name of it is Seldane, S-E-L-D-A-N-E, I think it is supposed to be. It is available only by prescription. And
is that taken in pill form?
It is taken in pill form and taken twice a day. And all I'm saying is for people suffering from hay fever who have had problems with antihistamines, they should talk to their doctor.
And they don't have no side effects, no risks. It's been studied.
Minimal, as with all antihistamines. The great worry has always been sedation. Now, I want to mention two other hay fever medications. One is nasal chrome, which is taken as an inhalant medication for stuffy nose and sinus areas and so on. And the other is Opticrom, which is in eye drop form. They're both the same medication, namely cromolyn, which helps to prevent hay fever attacks rather than treat the symptoms. Many authorities feel that these drugs, the cromolyn drugs, have really revolutionized the treatment of hay fever for people with more than just very casual, occasional problems. So I would urge, again, anybody who has severe hay fever, who hasn't tried these drugs, to talk to a physician about them.
Oh, and there's nothing worse, is there, than severe hay fever?
People who have the problem really do suffer.
Oh, really, it is not a minimal problem.
Those of us who don't tend to sort of poo-poo it. Hay fever sounds like kind of a minimal problem, but
don't
it's a
do
real
it
problem.
because, oh, terrible. All right, now, this new study, the New England Journal of Medicine has reported that 1 ounce of fish a day, as little as that, can cut your risk of heart attack in half. Is this possible?
Well, we have known for years that fish represent a good substitute in our diet if we want to go toward the low-fat spectrum of the diet. We've been advocating for years that people should give up red meat and instead replace it with poultry and veal and fish. What the studies, and there were actually 3 of them, 3 different kinds of studies that appeared in last week's New England Journal of Medicine, said is that beyond even just the low-fat idea, there may be some unique properties in fish fats or fish fatty acids in preventing heart disease. Now, the study you were just summarizing quite accurately was a study done on over 800 Scandinavian men. They were correlated in terms of their diet and their risk of heart attack over a 20-year period. And what it pointed out that the men who ate, on the average, of an ounce of fish a day had 50% reduction in their heart attack rate compared to men who ate no fish at all. Now, whether we can generalize for everybody and say if you start eating an ounce of fish every day or the average of that, you're going to reduce your heart attack rate.
Interestingly, they say the oily fish is as good for you as the other.
And that's right. The studies are starting to show that even the so-called fatty ocean fish like salmon may be as good as the lean ocean fish like cod. So I think what we've been saying for years, put some fish in your diet, turns out to be very good advice for reasons beyond just cutting down on the amount of fat in the diet. And I would certainly urge people to put some fish in their diet if they're not doing so.
There's a lot that I want to ask you on this. Let's focus first on Massachusetts, the red tide. Last winter flounder, there was cancer in the liver of those fish. They say it was because of pollutants.
Right.
Do we have to worry about red tide?
Well, certainly we do. If there is red tide and we receive advisories through the media, we should avoid fish at that time, or at least fish caught in that area. It turns out that most worrisome are fish that are caught by sport fishing or that are caught in harbors. The kinds of fish that we get commercially from ocean fishing further out really don't pose any problem. And the fish are pretty carefully inspected. There are certain kinds of fish we should worry about, as I said, those that are sport fish, harbor fish, or...
What do you mean by sport fish?
Well, freshwater fishing
standing on the bank in a stream.
Great Lakes, for example. Okay. They are known to be contaminated, fairly highly contaminated with PCB. But the commercial fish that most of us purchase or eat in restaurants is caught far out in the ocean, and by and large, that is not a contamination problem.
What do you do to the meat industry here? I mean, obviously, are you saying no red meat in the diet?
Well, vegetarians would say that, of course. I'm not going to say.
But why? What is it about red meat? What happens metabolically to us as we digest?
Nothing metabolically so much. It's 2 concerns. One are the fats, the saturated fats that are typically found in red meat. That's what makes them taste good to those of us that have grown up with meat. And secondly, the calories that are associated with those kinds of foods. A small, modest amount periodically is certainly not going to hurt anyone. But I think most of us really will benefit by cutting down on large amounts of red meat if we eat those in our diet and shifting in this other direction. Now, in all honesty, not everybody will benefit. There are some people who seem to be born with good genetic machinery, have inherited good machinery from their parents, so to speak, and they can eat most anything they want, and their blood fat levels still stay within nice low ranges. But there are a lot of people who will benefit by cutting down on the fat in their diet, and red meat is one of the most ready, important sources of saturated fat.
As you talk about that group of the population that somehow their own bodies control their risk, they minimize the risk of heart attack, it's also been said that women have a built-in kind of a chemical that is secreted that might protect them from heart disease.
We don't know what it is, but clearly women before the age of menopause have far fewer heart attacks than men. The rate of heart attacks is about 8 men for every single woman before the age of menopause. Now, we've assumed all along that maybe it is the hormonal milieu of a woman before the age of menopause that accomplishes that. And there have been attempts to give men, for example, estrogens in the hopes of preventing heart attack. Well, estrogens produce all kinds of side effects in men, and so that's not worked too well. After the age of menopause, women start to rise in their risk of heart attacks, and by the age of 70, they're at the same risk of having a heart attack as men. Of course, by the time all the men are gone, as we say, but...
Well, that's true, you know, that's true, except that is changing as well, isn't it,
That's
Tim?
right.
As women there's more stress in our lives.
And women obviously have to worry about risk factors just like men, smoking, high blood pressure, high blood fats. They're important for women too, as they are for men, particularly after the age of menopause when they are no longer protected by whatever it is that seems to protect them.
What is this property in fish called? Do you know that they're saying that might be beneficial?
Well, what they're talking about are the so-called 3-omega fatty acids of fish. In other words, fatty acids are found in all living kinds of animals, but it appears that the fatty acids in fish have some unique protective properties compared to the fatty acids even in other low-fat sources, such as unsaturated vegetable oils or fats. The theory is that it may be that these fatty acids in fish may protect by preventing blood clots. It may help to cut down on the actual production of fats. It may help to cut down on the inflammatory reaction to injury in the coronary vessels. Nobody knows for sure how they might work, but there are a lot of studies now trying to pinpoint what it is in fish oils uniquely that helps to protect against heart disease. And some are speculating that we may be in the future taking pills or capsules of these fish oils as a protective preventive measure.
Can't you buy those now in health food stores?
They're available now, but I don't think anybody can prove that they actually do the job. All we know is that eating fish seems to help. Whether or not taking extracts of fish in the form of fish oils will help remains to be proven.
Very, very interesting. So you're saying that it's good to eat fish as often as you can. That's the theory. Boy, I'll tell you, the meat packers are going to love us.
Okay.
Oh, that is tough. Thank you, Tim, very much.
Riley.
Dr. Tim Johnson, our medical editor. And we will be always updating you on any new medical stories as they happen. All right, over to you, Jan.
Thank you, Eileen. Coming up on Good Day, we have a lot of new and interesting products and gadgets that we'll show you. But first, I have a question. Which of these two is a complete toolkit? When we come back, I'll show you right after this.
We're asking Cottonelle users why they prefer Cottonelle bathroom tissue.
It feels like a ball of cotton. It's soft, like a cotton ball almost.
It feels like cotton. It feels like I said, cotton balls, like cotton.
It feels like a cotton ball. It's so soft.
Cottonelle bathroom tissue. Of course it isn't cotton, but it is cottony soft.
I like Cottonelle because it's soft like cotton.
The ad says Cottonelle is soft as cotton, and Cottonelle is soft as cotton.
In every single raisinette, there's chocolate-covered sunshine. Chocolate-covered sunshine. In every raisinette.
Pick plump, juicy, wholesome raisins.
Chocolate-covered sunshine.
Drench them in rich, creamy Nestle milk chocolate, and you've got delicious chocolate-covered sunshine.
Sensational! There's chocolate-covered sunshine in every raisinette.
Do you ever see the inside of one of these? A trailer truck like this pulls up to TJ Maxx about every 72 hours. Loaded, and I mean loaded, with enough fresh merchandise to completely stock 3 or 4 entire specialty stores. And on every item you save 20 to 60%. So every week at TJ Maxx, there are about 10,000 great new fashions to choose from, which means what you don't find today will probably roll in tomorrow.
You get the max for the minimum at TJ Maxx.
Introducing the strawberry. Plain California strawberries. They're great straight.
It's birthday time at Easy Rental, and we're celebrating with a brand new store in Fall River. This time you get the gift, a 19-inch TV or a VCR or a 6-piece living room set. Your choice, only $9.99 per week. How's that for a grand opening present? And you know at Easy Rental there's never a credit check, no security deposit, same-day delivery, and a money-back guarantee. Call the Easy Rental nearest you now in Roslindale, Charlestown, and now in Fall River.
Easy Rental, Easy Rental, Easy Rental.
Well, we have some more holidays coming up. There's Father's Day, there are weddings with June brides coming, and graduations, and maybe even a few anniversaries. And what do you get the people who may have everything they need, but not everything they want? Well, Sherry Greenberg is here with us this morning. Good morning, Sherry.
Hi, Janet.
And she's from the Sharper Image Catalog, the mail ordering house, and she has some fun products to show us that you might want to use as gift ideas. Let's begin over here. This is one of my favorites, Sherry. Tell us what this is.
Well, this is the Sony Watchman television with a 4-inch diagonal screen. The largest small screen that was made before was 1.5 inches.
It'll cost $199 to get it, and it's a great thing to take to the ball games, you know, so you can hear the play-by-play and the instant, you know, replays and everything. It's real fun.
Now, this here, I gave him my little mini quiz before we came back. I said it was a toss-up between this one or this one, which is the toolkit. Obviously, it's not this one. You want to tell us what this is?
What this is a raincoat, which folds up inside this little package here, and you can put it in your briefcase or your pocketbook. It's great for the East Coast climates, the muggy weather.
Oh, I see. The bag stays with it, doesn't it?
The bag stays with it. It's self-contained, and it's a real nice trench coat here. Comes in tan or in blue for $79.
Now, how do you get it back in? I mean,
it's a very moderately simple procedure.
Well, we'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I thought it was a separate bag.
The bag is right inside.
That's
yeah.
Great. The right color too, doesn't show dirt.
Sure.
Okay. Now this here.
This here is a clock radio, a cassette player, a telephone, and also, which you can pick up and talk on.
Oh. Hello?
She's having a conversation with David Selby, I think.
Oh, I wish. Now you put your cassette player in there.
You put your cassette in here. You get your alarm clock features, the radio. You can dial the phone here. And also, if someone calls at 2 in the morning and you have this by your bed, all you have to do is hit the hands-free button, and you don't have to worry about picking up a receiver or fumbling for it. You can just tell them to call back later.
And it's lightweight. How much does this cost?
$99.
Under $100. Now this is intriguing, I thought.
This is called the Wizard of Wine, and lots of times you'll go into a restaurant and you don't really know, is this a good bottle, is it a good vintage, and what you can do is you can turn this on.
Okay, you want to show us how I hold it? And you can.
Okay, you push the on button, and
we don't have a bottle of wine here.
Okay, and let's say we want to check out a California white wine, so then we'll push in the year. Whoops, we'll try to push in the year.
But anyway, you push in the year and it tells you.
You push in the year and it'll give you a symbol on the front, and you turn it over, and that gave us a 7, which says good year, and a ++, which means that we should lay it away and let it age a little bit.
How accurate is this?
It's very accurate, and you can get it updated every year so that the new vintages are taken account for.
And that costs?
$39.
All right. Now this is what I'm going to need, and some of you who are traveling to Europe, you may need these as well. These are translators, and you want to tell us how these work. Give us a demo, a quick demo on this.
Okay, what you do with this is flip on the switch, you put in the first letter, which will say a B, we'll put in the second letter, and then you search through the data bank until you get to the word you want.
And what word do you want?
Let's say back.
Okay.
You push translate, and it will give you the word in French.
Which is anybody read French?
Something like that. It's got an 8,000 word vocabulary.
And Spanish the same way, huh? You
Spanish
put in
is exactly
Spanish.
the same.
Okay. And this little thing, it looks like a necklace or a choker.
Well, it's a necklace for a dog or a cat, actually. Oh. And if you have any fleas, it'll help get rid of them. So what it is an electronic flea collar. A lot of people don't like to give their pets flea dips anymore because they don't like all the chemicals. And what this does is emit a high-frequency sound that really bothers a flea but doesn't bother the pet or you.
Oh.
It's a real nice thing to have.
Are fleas on a higher frequency than cats?
I guess they are. I guess they are.
Now, speaking of frequencies, sometimes frequencies can be very stressful, and I know this has something to do with stress, does it not?
Right. This is called the Antense Biofeedback Headset, and you put it on, and you put this on your against your forehead, if you can hold that.
Okay.
And then I'm going to flip this switch right here. Do you hear a tone?
Oh, my goodness. Yes, I do.
Clench up your jaw really hard. Bite. Now, do you hear the tone getting louder? Is it getting louder? Should be getting like higher pitch and louder.
Oh my goodness! The less I clench my jaw, the softer. Oh, I love this.
What that's doing is training you to relax. So if you have a headache, you can get rid of the pain without having to take medication, which a lot of people don't like to do.
How much is this?
$99.
Okay. Now this here might be pretty embarrassing. I know what this is. Want to tell us what this is?
Well, this is a fatometer, and a lot of people go on diets, and they think what they're losing is fat, which is what they want to lose, but maybe all they're losing is water or muscle tissue. And with this, on a woman in 4 places and a man in 3, you open it up.
Why do we have 4 places?
Here.
They only have 3.
Well, because we have a different proportion of fat on our body. You measure the fat with these calipers.
How does it work? Can we take a little?
Sure.
Here.
Well, let's do it. Let's do it on this side so that you can see.
But
what you would do is you pinch yourself, and then you get a measurement right here of the amount of fat, you add the measurements together and divide by a multiple that you're given in the book based on your age. And you can find out if you're actually losing fat, if you have a less % of fat than you had the last week.
So this tells you if your diet's working or not.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And this here, what is this?
This is a real neat thing for people during the summer months to water their lawn if they're on vacation or if they're just lazy. You take this off, you program this to turn your sprinklers on and off on certain days of the week at certain times, and it will automatically turn the faucet on.
Oh, it's like a touch tone, isn't it? You can
exactly. And you can do it AM, PM.
Now this was obviously the toolkit. If you guessed this was the toolkit, you won.
David Sullivan.
You like him too, don't you? Okay, now tell us how this works here, Sherry.
Okay, well what you do, you just pull it out, and first of all, if you undo it like this, you have a ruler. Then you have your pliers or wire cutters.
Yeah.
Okay, then you can pull, if my nails don't get in the way,
I was going to say, how do you keep such nice nails working these things?
You can pull out a screwdriver and a knife, and you can also start bleeding.
How about a fingernail file?
We've got a fingernail file here, and we've got a Phillips screwdriver here.
Yeah. All that in this little bitty tiny case. Now, how much is that?
$45.
That's a nice gift. Now, this you could take on safari, right?
This is the solar power safari hat. You flip on the switch, and you get a little fan right there up at the top. And it just gives you a little cool breeze while you're doing your gardening.
You keep a cool head here.
Yes.
Now, how much is this nice little trinket?
This is $59.
Now, you said it was solar operated on the top?
It's solar operated. This is a solar panel right here that'll collect the sun's energy. It also has a battery backup.
Yeah, I was going to say, look at the batteries here in the back.
Cloudy days.
Oh, I love this.
And you can even moisten that little blue sponge inside so that it's like blowing cool water
air.
into it. Yeah.
And this, of course, I think this is pretty much self-explanatory, isn't it?
You just stretch that out real hard, and this is a variation.
Chest muscles.
Right, variation on the old bull worker. If you travel a lot, you can. It gives you resistance exercise.
You could do it this way too, can't you?
You can put your foot in it and you pull up. It's got to be wound up a little tighter, but.
Oh my goodness, you'd have to.
Actually, what you really need to be doing is laying on the ground and almost doing like a sit-up
doing it
with
that way. Well, now, if we want to get in touch with these, because we get this, Bob and I get this at home. Someone was kind enough to see that we got a copy of this. But if you don't get it at home, I know you're bringing a story to the Boston area in September.
Right.
But can we call? I guess we can call here at Good Day.
Right.
And get your number.
And we'll give the number here.
You have an 800 number.
That's right.
So if you call here at Good Day after the show, Josh will be happy to give you the 800 toll-free number. Make sure you call Josh, right? Sherry, I've enjoyed this segment. This is wonderful. I think I'll take all of these products. Can I charge it?
Sure, we take all credit cards.
Sherry Greenberg. She is from the Sharper Image catalog. I think I held that up. Is it great? It's sort of stylish, too, isn't it? It goes with my teeth. Thanks. Thank you, Sherry. We'll have more coming up on Good Day. We'll take a look at the news and the weather from News Center 5 right after this.
Shop Demoulas and Market Basket, where you get more for your dollars. Like new Nabisco snack crackers. They're nutritious, light, thin, and delicious. Save on all varieties of wheat thins, the new line of better cheeses, and new Break Crisps. All just 99 cents each. Also save on Red Hawaiian Punch, 46-ounce can, just 59 cents. Save 20 cents. Shop Demoulas and Market Basket, the store where you get more for your dollars.
It's so good, served in so many different ways. Gaspar's Linguiça, the Portuguese sausage. Here's a suggestion to help you spice up your cookouts. Slice Gaspar's Linguiça in half lengthwise and grill over charcoal. Then serve on a roll, a delicious international touch to an American tradition. Gaspar's Linguiça, all-meat Portuguese smoked sausage in the old country style that the whole world can enjoy.
Where's your hat? I had to leave it over there.
It looks marvelous, as the crew has said. All right, it's time now to go to News Center 5 and check this morning's headlines and weather. We join Jim Boyd. Good morning to you, Jim.
Good morning, Eileen. Good morning, Janet. Here's some of the stories at the top of our news this morning. In Philadelphia, police are still searching for at least 3 members of a radical gang that apparently escaped when police bombed their headquarters last night following a day of armed confrontations. The bombing resulted in a fire that spread to 50 to 60 homes in that West Philadelphia neighborhood. The violence began yesterday morning when police attempted to evict members of the group Move from their compound because of unsanitary conditions and complaints from neighbors. Authorities report 3 police officers were injured in the confrontations. All of those injuries are said to have been minor. Overseas in the Netherlands, Pope John Paul II celebrated an outdoor mass this morning, defending his traditional church values before a crowd of some 45,000 people. The pontiff's conservative ideals have come into conflict with liberal Dutch Catholics, resulting in tensions during the papal visit. In today's message, Pope John Paul spoke out against divorce and artificial birth control. Also overseas, Secretary of State George Shultz held a closed-door meeting this morning with Soviet Foreign Minister Andrei Gromyko in Vienna, Austria. Their talks are expected to lay the groundwork for a possible summit meeting between President Reagan and Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev. In local news, Chelsea teachers are back on the picket lines this morning, forcing cancellation of classes for the 3rd consecutive school day. The teachers are now in violation of a Superior Court order to end their illegal walkout begun last Friday as a protest over the lack of a contract and low wages. And the situation at the Deer Island House of Correction is reported back to normal this morning following a disturbance last night which left 1 guard injured. Authorities say the violence escalated following racial fights over the weekend. A general lockup is now in effect at that prison. Those are some of the stories that we're working on here in the newsroom. Susan Warnick and I will have all the details coming up on News Center 5 at midday. And Bob Kaplan, looks like we've got a complicated weather day happening out there. A little fog in the morning,
yes.
And is it clearing up yet?
It is not, Jim. In fact, the fog has moved inland. It's right now in our 128 area here in Needham, and it's primarily a coastal problem. But as we see in the satellite picture, there's still a lot of clear sky over parts of interior southern New England. Also, notice that big swirl out in the Midwest. That's producing some big thunderstorms out there. We might have to deal with that weather system by Thursday night or Friday. Here in the Northeast again, notice Connecticut, interior Massachusetts, still sunny, but we have clouds coming down from the north as well as fog along the coast. So it looks like this problem is going to persist for a while. Low clouds and fog, chill 50s along the coast. Inland, it's a different story. Temperatures in the 70s. It will turn cooler when those clouds move in later on. Tonight, partly cloudy and cool, 45 to 50 by morning. Tomorrow promises to be a nice day all over. Temperatures between 60 on the coast and 70 while inland. Lots of sunshine and low humidity. So that's the forecast.
Okay, thank you, Bob. And again, we'll have all the details coming up on News Center 5 at midday. Now go back to Janet and Eileen.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Bob, very
I feel like we're a foursome here. Okay, TV Baffle time. What was the name of the little girl Lily Tomlin played on the hit series Laugh-In?
We'll take the 10th caller. Be right back.
Greyhound reminds you, when you travel by car, you take chances. Especially when you travel alone. Last year, over 45 million people traveled worry-free because they rode Greyhound, America's travel leader. And Greyhound goes where you want to go, when you want to go. So it's time to go Greyhound and leave the driving to us.
Tarnation, young fella, why are you eating that ordinary white bread? It's soft. Then try new Arnold milk and honey white bread. As a mother, I know you're gonna love its softness. And just you taste the fresh, all-natural flavor of that milk and honey. It's got the softness you want and the good things your mom wants. It's delicious.
New milk and honey breads. The goodness your family deserves. From Arnold.
Is there a caller on the line?
Yes, there is.
Good morning. Who are you?
Mary McGrill from Stoneham.
What's the answer, Mary?
Edith Ann?
You got it. $50 to you.
Oh, great.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Tomorrow, an entire hour with Donahue. We put Phil on the hot seat after his live show from our studios here.
So think about your questions and
join us. Yes. Bye-bye. Have a nice day today.